Good afternoon. Just want to begin by saying just really proud of our football team, and I felt like that the guys were ready to play, and they played hard. A lot of things to correct and get fixed, but I thought the effort was tremendous. I thought the just staying together, staying positive on the sideline, and being able to be at our best at the end was critical on both sides of the ball and special teams. And so I thought that showed up, and I think our leadership showed up, and just the things that makes your program who they are, and to be able to stay together, stay focused and locked in, and be able to just make those critical plays at critical times was really important. So a very important win for us and for our program. So just really proud of our coaching staff. You think about you have 15 coaches that they consider accountable coaches. Those are the ones that coach on the field that can instruct players. You have 10 full-time assistants, you have the head coach, and then you have 4 of those GAs that we have, all right? And so you think about all those guys. We have 9 new individuals in those positions. 4 GAs, all of our GAs from last year's staff all got full-time jobs, which is awesome. That's what you want them to do. And we have the 5 new on-the-field coaches. And so that's a lot of guys to be able to get on the same page and without any preseason games. And preseason scrimmages are good, but they don't simulate a full game because the sideline isn't the same. So someone's always on the field that you're coaching for your team, whether it's your 1s and 2s or whatever. That's obvious reasons when you're playing against each other. So we do a mock game to try and simulate that, which is still not the same because all our GAs are running that, the scout teams. And so those guys are the ones we're talking to in the box. And so just all the communication that it takes to be able to function on game day, collect data, me calling the defense, having Chad in that new role. We had a whole new series of things, a whole bunch of new guys working in that together. The guys in the press box were all new that we're talking to. The time clock, the time management, the clock management, all those things are all part of this. 35 new players that weren't here before. So it's just a lot of new faces. And so you can come into a game that we knew was a very important game against a good football team. And there was no ramp it up opportunity. So all that being said, just really proud of our guys. The calmness that they had, the ability to communicate and execute those critical times was very, very important, to be able to have that. And we had one penalty on offense and for legal procedure, only one of those. And we had one, which is considered a cat on defense, where we had a out of bounds where we slung the guy to the ground. That was a mistake on our part. So, but other than that, pretty clean game. So those are positive things that just speak to the guys that we brought here and their ability to function at a high level. Just want to really commend a couple guys on offense. Cam Camper, the first player here, he had 156 yards receiving, which is the most ever in a debut for a wide receiver. And then Connor Bazelak threw for 330 yards, and that was the most since Randall L. At the quarterback position, those yards. So just really high-level performance. And I've talked about Cam Camper a lot throughout the spring and the fall camp, and he didn't disappoint. We also had a chance to recognize our captains, put those out before the game, but those guys went out for the coin toss. Cam Jones, A.J. Barner, Jack Tuttle, Tywan Mullen, and Monster Matthews, just 5 high-quality young men that represent our program in a first-class way and have been here many years, and just so proud of that group. Cam Jones is the only 3 in the history of our program have ever been named as a 3-time captain, and he's now one of those 3, and that's pretty impressive as well. So you think about our history and everything of our program, and we're going to be recognizing the Rose Bowl team here this weekend, the 55th anniversary of that team, and just teams just loaded full of really, really high-quality people that really shaped our tradition and of our past. So just excited to have those guys with us this weekend. So you got the guys from the past coming, and you got the guys here on the current team that are creating our own history of ourselves and being able to do great things together. So proud of our team. We go through each week and give different awards for the game. I want to make sure we recognize those guys on defensive scout. Ray Stewart and Cooper Jones were the defensive scouts of the week. Cam Perry, offensive scout team player of the week. Drew Pierce was the special teams scout team player of the week. Those guys do a tremendous job. Give us a look. I tell you what, Cam Perry is really, really fast and quick, and a lot like number 1 we played against. That's who he simulated all week long and did a phenomenal job. We're going to need that again this week. They got a guy with the same jersey number that's probably faster sure than the number one. So just once again, we can't get ready to play without those guys. And then in the game itself, offensive players of the game, Connor Bazelak and DJ Matthews, just awesome to see DJ back. He's been through so much. It was not just a physical recovery, just the mental strain of that whole long process of that injury a year ago, and just to see him out there playing again, doing so well, and just probably just a special young man. And then defensively, Cam Jones and Lance Bryant, Cam, 12 tackles. Just, I don't know if you can put a price tag on his leadership. I think, and I texted him, it was probably about 3 a.m, but just said, man, I tell you what, I couldn't be more proud of a young man. I said, you willed this team to victory during that game. And after I brought him up in the fourth quarter, he spoke to the team, and it was that way the whole time. And I could say that about several other guys. I mean, Taiwan was the same way. Jay Will, same way. I mean, just AJ Barner, same way. Jack Tuttle was amazing on the sideline with our guys, and just being a great leader, and just a monster, when he went out and just there encouraging and challenging. It's just, this group's got something special to him. I really do believe that. And I think it showed. Lance Bryant, I've been commenting on him all fall camp, and he played like I expected him to, and he was a big, got the huge caused fumble and just pressures and tackles, and very productive. Special teams, we had 3 of them. Charles Campbell, 5 for 5 on his kicks. We saw last night how important the extra points are in every single game. It's just taken for granted without question that you're going to get the extra point. Talk about field goals, and those are huge as well, but man, every point matters. And so Charles was 5 for 5. Josh Sanguinetti just playing great on special teams. And then Noah Pierre, I mean, what can you say about that kid? I mean, we actually switched him to a new position when somebody went down. And he goes down and again covers a punt and gets a great tackle on a really talented athlete. So Noah Pierre is a phenomenal player for us, and just got so much heart and grit and toughness and fight. So he kind of epitomizes our football team. So those are the guys we recognize from the game. And obviously, as I mentioned even in the post game, that a lot of things to clean up. Didn't run the football very good at all. Got to improve that. But although they loaded the box and were determined not to allow us to, there's no question. The film shows that quite a bit. But we got to improve up front in that area without question. Didn't tackle very good. Missed 23 tackles. That accounted for a lot of their yards, so that was really disappointing. Tackled really well at times. I think number 2 is an elite running back. I think he's really special. And I think number 1 is an elite runner with the ball in his hand. And he had 99 yards after he first touched it. So so we got to work on that. We got to do a better job of vice tackling an athlete like that. 3 sacks. The takeaways were the difference in the game. We always say that takeaways, tackling, and effort is what we have built our defense off of. We didn't stop the run good enough defensively. That has to improve, and it will. And but 4 takeaways, changed the game. And we had 1 at the end of the first half. And we're like, guys, we got to get another one. We got the second one. Said, guys, we got to get to win this game. We got to get 3. And obviously got the 4th one there on the final play. But thought our special teams coverage units were really on point. I didn't think our kick placement on punts was what it needs to be at the highest level, but specialists were really good, and just got to be, how it is week 1 to week 2. We expect a lot of improvement out of our team, but I was very. I knew what this game meant to our team and to this season, and so just to be able to find a way to win the way we did, to go 75 yards with no timeouts, the way we were able to get the clock down to give us that amount of time. There was that last sequence of events there where because we had an injury by one of our players, I had to choose to take a timeout because if I had not taken the timeout, we'd have lost 40 seconds on the play clock because they would have drained it down, and so I had to use our last timeout to save those 40 seconds. It gave us 2 minutes and 20 seconds to go, to be able to go with no timeouts. You'd like to have at least 1, but that's why that decision was made, and based on the information I was given by the officials. And so, but I thought we did a great job. We got guys in the press box in charge of all that, and Craig Johnson's in charge of communicating with me during the game, and he did a phenomenal job with that. So just being able to maximize the clock, give our offense as much time, and as you notice, we needed about every second we got to be able to drive down the field and score. So just got to get better. But it's a whole lot more enjoyable correcting these issues after a big conference win to start the season. Questions?
I know you said there's things you'd like to clean up, understandably, after week 1, but after talking in the offseason about feeling like you'd gotten too far away from what you wanted to do defensively, where you wanted that unit to kind of ground its identity, is that, at least roughly speaking, kind of what you want it to look like? Not just the turnovers, but the sacks, the 4th down, stop in the goal line, et cetera? No question. So, as I've always said, it's really hard to limit yards in today's game.
But it's the takeaway piece. It's key stops at critical times. It's the sacks. It's the pressures. Now, we did give up 3 quarterback scrambles. It really still ticks me off. But we just can't let that happen. And we'll get that fixed. But just being able to get off the field on third downs, the goal line stand, the score zone, which we call that's been between the 12 and the goal line, basically. That's where we got to be great. And if you're great there and you force field goals or you force, them to stops where they go for it on fourth down, that's how you win. And that goal line stand, just that toughness to fight, the ability to be great in those moments is really critical for us. So that's what I want to get back to. And I want those things to continue, the takeaways, the pressures, but we still didn't, the stop in the run game to me. And that's why I guess, I'm frustrated, but also I realize it's all very fixable, the things that were going on there. So got some new faces there and some guys that got to fit some things better. But overall, it was, I would say, a good start to getting us back to where I know we need to be defensively, because if you play great defense, create takeaways, you give yourself a chance every week.
Hey, Coach. I know one thing you guys really preach is next man up. You didn't have James Head. Bo Robbins steps up. I don't know what he did all game, but I would argue that his sack was one of the 3 or 4 biggest plays in the game, because they had just gotten a 20-yard pass and they were almost to midfield. Just talk about that play and just how Bo's come along in his 2 years here.
Yeah, glad you brought him up. I think that, matter of fact, I mentioned him specifically in our team meeting this morning. So proud of Bo, man. Just what an amazing young person. Hard worker, smart, tough, dependable. He's gained a lot of really good weight this offseason. He came up huge for us. And it wasn't just that play. I mean, it was rock solid in the run game, doing his job. But a sack in that situation is a game changer. And as you mentioned, just after a good completion there, that got him close to field goal range. And so he really changed everything for them when they had to call the last couple plays. So just the way he's come on, he's just been steady. He's never wavered. He hasn't always been a guy that's been starting, and I see that changing here soon. But just so proud of him. And that's kind of, he comes here, he gets developed. His body's changed in the last year dramatically because of his work ethic and his diet. And I just give Coach Wellman credit for, the nutrition piece in our program has changed a lot. We got to continue to develop and get it even higher, but it's really night and day from when I first got here. So that's part of it. Allow a guy like that to really grow and develop and physically be where he needs to be. And so, but he's bought into that. And he plays with great technique and toughness, and he just used technique on that play. Wins a one-on-one. We're rushing 3 guys, and have some different things that we're trying to do with that. But he had a one-on-one on that particular call, and he beat his man, got a sack. And so just so proud of Bo, and it was huge. And that's how you win Big Ten football games, is guys like that stepping up. The in-state guy from Carmel High School that's come here and does a phenomenal job in the classroom. He represents us the first-class way and everything possible. So couldn't be happier for Bo.
Hey, Tom. I just want to sneak a couple in here. First, he mentioned James Head. I just want to see an injury update on him, Matthew Bedford, Trent Hallen, and I guess Cam Jones. And also, now that it's official and we've seen him, what ultimately led to Connor being named your starting quarterback?
Yeah, okay, so going through the injuries, James Head is day to day. We're hoping to get him back soon. It definitely will not be long term, but couldn't go this weekend. Excited to get him back. He's had a tremendous offseason. Cam Jones, he's going to be fine. The guys that were injured during the game, with the exception of Matt Bedford, Matt Bedford has torn his ACL, and he'll be out for the season. So tough blow for Matt. Feel for him. And amazing young man, and but he's got an unbelievable attitude about it, and talking with him, and he's going to have a great recovery and come back and play his final season a year from now. But reality is that it's part of this game, and you hate it for him and for our team, but next man up, and that's what happens. And so all the other guys mentioned that there are some guys that will be day to day and figure out if they can play again next week, and hopefully we can, and get us back to full strength as much as possible. And then you ask about Connor. Okay, so and I know, and I apologize in some ways that I couldn't talk about the quarterbacks much, but that was by design. I did not, I get it. You guys got to write your stories, and I didn't give you much help with any of that. But at the same time, it was a very, very highly contested competition, for this whole time. But I think the things that showed up on Friday night, to me, those things were probably, big factors. The poise that he shows in that moment when you have to just kind of have ice in your veins and just go make plays, and things are happening. They're throwing stuff. They're you don't even know what they're going to run all the time, and you're trying to adjust and anticipate. It's early in the season, so you don't have a whole database of what they're going to give you schematically, other than based off one game from this year and last year's work. So he has to make quick decisions, and his accuracy, getting the ball to receivers, throwing the ball down the field with that accuracy is another thing, and just has a really good command of what we're doing. And to me, even though it was a tough decision, and we got two really good quarterbacks, that was a decision we decided to go, and obviously he came up big for us, and I wasn't surprised.
Tom, something you've mentioned a couple of times, even before today, that have stood out to me in regards basically to game management, time management. And I think back on games like the Gator Bowl and things like that. But even with all these new names and faces, do you think that you're at the absolute zenith of where you have been at your period at Indiana as far as time and game management? Because it seems and feels that way. Well,
to me, hopefully you learn and you get better, and I've made mistakes early on, and you learn from that, and you learn how to do a better job of getting, the right people in the right spots to get you that information, in an efficient way, and in a timely way, and an accurate way, and then you got to trust your gut, and how I just think hopefully, like anything in life, the more you do it, the better you get at it, and you work really hard at it. And I really study hard for that, and with having all the the calling the defense piece and having Chad in that role to make all the adjustments, and we're communicating the whole time, but we have a whole systematic way of how we handle that, and then the way we handle the timeouts and everything with that when we're on offense. So to me, it's important. It's a huge part of the game. It's a huge part of my responsibility, and I have to be able to multitask, in a hurry, and so, but that's where you trust the people around you, and I think that was evident in that moment. On Friday night, it was evident in our team and how they performed in those moments on both sides of the football and with each other. And that's LEO. It's not making it about you. It's giving other people responsibilities and trust them to do it, and not trying to do their job for them because you think you're better than they are or whatever. And you trust them, and you hire good people and you let them do their job. So, but it's just, it's teamwork. It really is. And I couldn't do it without an amazing staff and a group of guys. So we got to keep getting better, keep working on it. But we've definitely seen growth in that area.
Coach, I wanted to ask you, with Matt out, how you graded Parker, how he played on Friday night, and also, is that competition open still this week, or is that his spot right now?
I would say it's his spot, and he played 44 snaps. So, it's just, I think back, and as much of it as a gut shot as it was when I found out, the news, I think back to 2019, we lost a really, really good player that I had said going into the season, that's like the one guy we can't afford to lose, was that particular player at that same position. And that's when Matt got his first opportunity, and I promise you, we really didn't think he was remotely ready at all, when we knew he had to go. Matter of fact, he had to go play against Michigan State that very next week, in his first start. So, it's, I thought he did a lot of positive things, without question. He's very smart. He's played a lot of football, not at this level. And so, but the good news is he got a chance to play 44 snaps against a really good defensive line and a good scheme. So that makes you feel better. And then we got to get other guys probably shuffle around a little bit to create that depth. But we got some good young players that, it's amazing how sometimes guys, when they're forced to really rise up, they do, and that's why you recruit and develop guys. And a guy like Josh Sales, this is a challenge to him. He's got to step up, and be ready to go, and other young guys, and Bray Lynch, I think of him. He played 2 straight seasons of undefeated football in the best program in America. In a very college-style offense, in the state of Texas and at Westlake High School, and was their starting left tackle for 2 years in a row, and played every single snap those 2 years, and played football at a very, very high level. So those guys are going to have to be thrust into opportunities, and even a guy like Caleb Benson who can play inside and outside, those opportunities are going to be there. So it's just a matter of our guys coming together and stepping up, getting better, and you hate it for one guy, and it's an opportunity for the next, So that's why Parker came here, was for this opportunity to be able to chance to get on the field and compete and play in the Big Ten and prove to everybody that he can. So I'm excited for those guys and excited for our football team.
Coach, you mentioned the 23 missed tackles on Friday, and I think after the game you said it was the least amount of live tackling that you did during fall camp. So I guess, what are you doing to improve that? Is that something you hope that there's just natural progression with more games? Are you tackling more in practice this week? I guess just what's your approach to improving?
Yeah, and it's a great point. I think also too, I think it was who we were tackling. Number 2 and number 1, I think are really talented players, and so not going to take anything away from them. We will not tackle more live in practice. That's not going to happen. But we will definitely do some additional drills per the issues. And we basically when we create drills, we take the film and simulate that whatever happened in the game that we didn't like the response or the result, and we recreate it in practice, and so a lot of leg drive drills, we call it drive for 5 with our tackling technique and the way we do different things. So we're going to do more drills for that and just for different things for wrapping up. And we have a gator roll that we use that most people call that anyways. But anyway, just trying to do specific drills against, and we may even tackle, our scout team running backs, in drills like that, but not going against each other, ones versus ones kind of thing. But I don't know if you can ever, I don't know if I've ever had a game one where you say, man, we had awesome tackling in game 1. I just think it's hard to do that. And yes, it is true. We did tackle less than we ever have live, but we also work on it a ton. So, and we had a lot of good tackles. I tell you, that one tackle that Taiwan had at the end on that jet sweep was phenomenal, and that kid, I tell you what, he came to me, he grabbed me, he's like, Coach, we are winning this. This is like with 5-6 minutes to go in a game. He's like, Coach, we're winning this football game. And I said, I just keep playing, buddy, just keep on playing, so, but it was just that grit and toughness that I could just go on about guys that were just so determined, and it showed up at the end for a guy like that.
Coach, I wanted to ask about Bradley Jennings. I guess when you're looking at guys in the transfer portal, when you're watching Bradley's film, when you're talking to him, what stood out to you as like he's a guy that we have to get to IU?
The surge to the ball. The burst to the ball, the acceleration, the violence he has. He's a powerful kid. He is a good tackler, but he's playing his first game with us in a new system, and I think it showed up a little bit, some of his fits. But I tell you what, he's a really, really good kid that loves football. I mean, he loves it and studies it, cares a whole lot, and it was interesting. So we do book studies every year. And so the book that we did with our team was the Traveler's Gift during fall camp. And there's a chapter in there, and it's about Abraham Lincoln, and he talks about why he picked General Grant at the end. I know he picked several different generals, and it didn't go real well, and so he had to pick another one. So, but then he was asked why he thought that he was going to be successful. This is before the war was won. And he said, because he cares as much as I do, and he's going to fight. And I shared that with our team. I said, I want to find a bunch of players and a bunch of coaches that care like I do and want to fight. And they want to fight to find a way to get the ball carried on defense, or stay on that block on offense, or make that play as a receiver, or make that throw as a quarterback. And so to me, I think Bradley cares. And I think he plays his tail off. And we want to find guys like that, and I get it. We have been asking a million times about how do you, bring in new guys and get them to buy into your culture. Well, it's not easy. I mean, you don't know them as long. It's a shorter process, and it's a tough judgment call, but those are the things we're looking for, because to me, that's what shows up out on that field when it matters. And there's a lot of kids across the country, and but how do you get the right guys that want to come here, and that you want them and they want you, and get that combination. And so it's just, but that to me is what it comes down to, and guys that want to work, and I got a lot of guys down there in that hallway that are like that. And that's important, because it's tough. And every game, you watch them. We got a chance to watch a few games on Saturday because of not playing. Man, it's hard to win. It's tough. A lot of things have to go your way, and things can go against you that are just out of nowhere sometimes. But coming together, fighting together, stringing together, working together, and finding players like Brad that want to be here and want to play their tails off for the guys around him. So I think that's what he brings.
Tom, over here. I'm just curious on your philosophy. You 23 seconds on defense to stop them. And I know Florida State had a situation where, 99 yards to stop them. Do you like to still be aggressive? Do you like to still keep your defense? Do you play more passively? What is your philosophy to that?
Well, it's a great question. And you also have to know, what do they need? They just needed a field goal for us. And so, without giving away what we're going to do in those situations, I would definitely choose to be aggressive more. Now, if they have to have a touchdown, okay, and not a field goal, that changes things. You know, you're going to be willing to give up the underneath, because what you're trying to do at that point is get an inbounds tackle. So if you get an inbounds tackle with that, you got 23 seconds to go in the game, and if they have to have a touchdown, well, then you're talking about a whole different animal. Now, if they only got to get to the 35-yard line, the 30-yard line to get a long field goal to tie it, send to overtime, which is what the case was for us, you got to be a little more aggressive. So we tried to kind of do a little bit of both and some of that, but the play was with some help over the top, but also with play some a little more aggressive man coverage on a couple of those calls, and so it's just but it's gut feel. It's film preparation. We go through and we study what they try to do in those situations and give us the best chance. But I think the biggest variable is, what do they need? You know, and that's one thing we talk about all the time in practice. They need a field goal. They need a touchdown, and how that looks. Maybe they got to have a touchdown and a 2-point conversion. So whatever the situation is, and I know in that situation last night they needed to score a touchdown. You know, so but bottom line is that's the driving force, and then you get your scheme from there. But the big thing is execute. Play with technique in those moments and not try to freelance and do your own thing. And that's what we've been coaching off that even today from that situation. So you had a chance, first game of the season, getting that opportunity to be able to finish the game and get off the field. So great question. Awesome. Have a great day, Elio.